What's the deal? It's your boy Jason Mike, Mr. Athletic over everything for no hobbies, only obsessions. Today is my top 100 pickups, and I was compelled to actually do this based on the fact I've been watching everybody else's top 100 cards in their collection. And I noticed that there was a few things lacking in most of these lists. And one is diversity. Um, you haven't seen too many African American collectors get into this bag in terms of what they're collecting, how they're collecting, and also just the regular um, everyday collector. Um, I don't have the most expensive cards. I have cards that mean something to me, or cards that actually meant something to me. I'm almost 50 years old. I was born in 1977, so I'm basically 47. I turned 48 this year. So late 70s, 80s, 90s. But with in terms of collecting, I don't really put much into, like, say for instance, I'm a former college baseball player at Grambling State University. Hit a home run first college at bat, by the way. But um, I don't really consider too much of anything before Jackie Robinson signs with the Dodgers. Um, so many of the best players in the 50s were African American. So for me, a lot of the stats, a lot of the history is corrupt in terms of baseball. So I choose not to really, not going to say acknowledge um, pre-war or you know um, the T2O whatever's. I'm mostly concerned with most of the 70s, 80s, and 90 players, but I also collect all sports. So since that's the case, my collection is very eclectic in terms of what I collect and how I collect. Um, I have roughly 100 cards here. I believe that's what it is, about 100 cards, and that's what I want to show you guys. Also go through, what I'm thinking about when I collect some of these cards, and some of the issues that I face as an everyday collector. This is not someone who's a multi-millionaire or anything like that. Just a regular guy, uh, wanting to put together a quality collection, and we're gonna go ahead and kick it off. But we're gonna start with um, something that was probably um, that kind of affected my collecting this year mostly. I got into Monty Irving, one of the greatest African American baseball players of all time. He should have been Jackie Robinson. Went to the war, developed PTSD or whatever. Wasn't mentally ready to be just that. But when he was ready, he wound up being a mentor for the young Willie Mays. But I'm just gonna go through some of the cards that I actually picked up for him this year, and I collected quite a bit, and I'm just gonna go through them. And so these are the pickups in no particular order, but let's call it 100. All right, let's skip to the cards. All right, so we have the Bowman Color 1953. This is a beautiful example. I actually have about 5 or 6 of these particular cards. This was probably the best in terms of shape and condition. Now, also with my collection, I'm only showing you guys the cards that cost between. I mean, the cheapest card on here might be $50, but a lot of them are over 100, like this one. Next up, this is one of my favorite Monty Irving cards. This is the doubleheader card from 1955 Topps. This is a really nice copy of it. It's an old SGC label. Like I said, this is one of those cards I actually want to get a better copy of. But beautiful card, beautiful illustration. Next up, We have the 1952 Redman uh, with tab. When I first started buying these, I wasn't 100% sure how to collect them with the tab or without. I actually have both copies of this one with tab and without, but I didn't realize that they also had a 1954 version of the card as well. It looks very similar, just has a different tab. I'll be looking to get that one in 2025. All right, next up we have the 1952 Bowman and a PSA 4. Like I said, once again, I have a bunch of these cards. And one of the biggest mistakes that I make as an actual collector is that I upgrade cards all the time, but I wind up never selling. So that's something I want to get more into, is actually coming off some of these cards. Now, this card here is a crazy card. Got into these Burke Ross 1952. Finding these centered is absolutely impossible. I actually purchased this at the beginning of the year. Paid good money for it. It's a sharp card. It's just extremely. I'm not gonna say miscut, but whatever. It's a sharp card. I'm always looking to try to get one better. Either it's always gonna be one side that's gonna be not centered. Next up, this is a beautiful card, and this is actually what sent me down the rabbit hole of Monte Irvin. I had never seen this card, but I heard that it was this black guy who was extremely good looking, and he looked like a movie star. And they were telling the story of Monte Irvin. But I was running across this card one day, and I saw it, and I was like, that has to be the card. That has to be the guy they're talking about. And sure enough, it was Monte Irvin, and that just sent me down a rabbit hole of getting all of his cards. And I actually completed his entire run of cards. All right, so next up, we have a 1956 Topps, which is his last playing days card. Uh, this is a pretty good example. Like I said, most of the cards that I'm showing today are around $100 or a little bit more. I have one that's coming up that's going to be a lot more, but this is a beautiful card from the 1956 Topps set. Now, probably his best looking card is the 1953 Topps card, and this is a very sharp example. I think I did pretty good with this particular card. Got it for a good deal. Um, like I said, I just went down a rabbit hole and I just started finding out this guy had some amazing cards, and also I have some other examples of cards as well. I'll do that in a different video. Now here we have his rookie card, or one of them. We have the 1951 red back Topps Monte Irvin in a PSA 5. Now these cards are all over the place. When I got it, it was closer to $160, $170 card. But I've seen, every once in a while you catch them in an auction, you might get it for $60. You know what I'm saying? It just depends on the auction or whatnot. But it was a card I had to have. And last but not least, Monte Irvin's rookie card, 1951 Bowman. Pretty good centering. At the time, it was like one of the more expensive cards that I purchased. Bought it offline. Someone in Dallas, and it came through. I like the rough cut on it, but it's overall a pretty smooth card. And there are only a couple other cards that I do not have in terms of cards that are printed for him. So this is the first 90. So that right there put me with the first 10 cards of the 100 pickups this year. So let's transition, and we're going to go a lot faster with these next ones. All right, next up, I picked this up at a card show out here in Texas, and I think it was in Humble or the airport or something like that. Barry Sanders tag got destroyed getting all his cars graded by Tag, and they came back with crazy grades. I thought this was more of a 9, closer to a 10, but I was able to get a good price on it, with it only being an 8 in the Tag. Next up, a newer Hall of Famer. We have Jim Cott. This is a card I will upgrade. His cards really aren't that expensive, and like I said, if a card is under $100 and they're a decent Hall of Famer or a respectable Hall of Famer, I would upgrade the card. I just have to remember to sell the ones I don't keep. Now, this is something that I normally don't do, is invest in expensive non-rookie cards, but this is Fran Tarkenton's second card. Thought it was in really good shape. I got it for a really good price, and it also fits kind of with what I do. I do try to get the first 3 to 5 years of most players, and this is his second year card. This will happens to be in a CCG case. Now, this card here is something that I am going to go and get a bunch more of. I don't have many modern cards. I have quite a few, but this era in football I didn't collect, and was able to get this for a very good price. Like I said, a lot of these cards that you're going to see now are going to be between $50 to $100 range. Now, this card was probably a couple $100 a couple years ago. Got it for under, I think it's under $70. But Julio Jones, 2011 Topps Gold rookie card, PSA 10. Right here. Now, this is a Terry Bradshaw rookie card, 1971 Topps Game card. At the time, I still would like to get his rookie card again. I've had it and I sold it, but I want to get the 71 Topps. But I was able to get this one for, a much cheaper price. So I went ahead and jumped on it. I think I got it for like $30 or something. Next up, before Jerry Rice, the guy who was considered the GOAT was Steve Largent. I believe he was the first wide receiver with 100 touchdowns. He was the guy that Jerry Rice had to chase down all of his records. Very underrated, very unappreciated in the hobby, but an awesome player. One of the greatest 10 wide receivers of all time, even though Terrell Owens should have been on that list, but that's another story, another day. Next up, we have Floyd Little. Now, this is a tricky card. It's an expensive card. Depending on where you're trying to find it at, he's one of the better running backs all time, Hall of Famer. I was able to get this at a really good price. Sometimes you get caught with a card like this in the 7, it's going to be like $150. If you don't want to spend $150 on a player, I just went down a little bit to a PSA 5 and was able to get in my collection. Now, what we have up next, it's like I said, with me, I don't normally just do one. I buy multiples. Russell Wilson has been a Hall of Famer, probably for the last 5 years, but now all of a sudden they want to say he's not a Hall of Famer, so this card dropped. I remember this card was well over $100 at one point. Before he made his resurgence, I was able to get these for like $30. They're selling now between $50 and $60 now, but I was able to get it in the regular paper Topps as well as the Topps Chrome. Didn't pay more. I think I paid $50 for the PSA 10 Chrome, and I think I paid $30 for the paper Topps. All right, so that's the first 20 of the 100 pickups. All right. So here's one of my favorite cards of all time. We're going to get out of sports for a quick second. We have the Hulk Hogan 1985 WWF card. This is a super cool card. It's a little off centered. I will be upgrading this card. Oh, excuse me. I will be updating this card soon. Next up, probably one of the greatest cards from my childhood, the David Robinson Hoops 1989 Hoops card. Wound up getting this card in multiple grades, but I also wound up winning the PSA 10 version. Next up, this is a newer card. We have a 2008 2009 Marc Gasol Refractor rookie card in an SGC 9.5. You know, he has a shot of making the Hall of Fame, Defensive Player of the Year, and brother of Paul Gasol. All right, back in my wheelhouse, we have a 1971 Rick Barry rookie card. Pretty sharp card, just a little off centered, and for the price is right under $100. This will be a card I'll be upgrading to get a better copy. In that same wheelhouse, we're gonna go 1974 George Gervin Topps rookie card in a CGC 6. This is a super sweet card. Looks like he's doing his thing with the finger roll on this particular card, what he's known for. Now, also something with my collecting, I always considered myself a baseball card collector, but I realized most of my better cards are football cards. So I'm actually probably more of a football card collector than baseball. All right. Right here we have one of the greatest defensive backs of all time. We have Mel Blount, 1975 Topps, and a PSA 7. Nicely centered. Why I paid a little bit more of a premium for this particular card. Great card. All right, next up. 1986 Fleer, James Worthy rookie. Got a good price on it. The 86 Fleer set, you can't go wrong picking these cards up. All right, so here go a cool card. Art Shell, one of the greatest linemen of all time, also was a Raiders head coach. 1973 Topps rookie card, pretty well centered, in a PSA 8. Paid a nice little penny for this one. I think it was a little bit under $100, but it was a pretty good card. Next up, 1981 Fleer Ricky Henderson in a PSA 9. Now, I actually had this card already in a PSA 9. I had already started buying Ricky Henderson's earlier this year, and he passed away a week after I purchased this particular card. And I believe the sales on this card has gone up to almost $100 on this particular card. Now, this is the newest card that I got back into my collection. John Mackey, which was considered one of the greatest tight ends of all time. Coming from this legendary set. This is a super cool set, 1964 Philadelphia. A lot of nice rookie cards come out this set. But this was indeed a card I've been trying to get back. I had it in a PSA 8 at one point. That card, I believe I sold it for $375 during the pandemic, the boom or whatever. And, you know, trying to get these cards, you know, these cards are selling almost $100 for a 5. But I was able to get this card for like $30 recently. So made out pretty good. So let's see. All right, so that is 30. I mean, or number 70. So we have. All right, so let's get this in order. Okay. So we got the next group, or the next 10 up. All right. All right, so let's switch the. All right, so Gene Hickerson, one of the all-time great players. I started finding out a little bit more about these Philadelphia cards with them having so many Hall of Famers in it. He was one that I was trying to get. Don't know an awful lot about him. That's why I wasn't willing to spend like crazy amounts of money for him, but was able to get this one at a really good price. Now, next up, we have Cliff Branch, another Raider legend. Was able to get this card recently. His cards are sneaky expensive. Was able to get this at a really good price. And like I said, most of these cards that I'm showing you now are right under, like between 50 and under $100. All right, John Elway, 1984 Topps rookie card. I was happy with this card, but the case cracked on me, so I wound up you guys will see this card make another appearance a little bit later in the video. But you can't have that card without having the Marino 1984 Topps rookie card and a CGC 7.5. So killer combo, two of the greatest quarterbacks of all times. Same year, same rookie cards. Next up, one of the more famous cards, the 1975 Topps Robin Yount rookie card in a PSA 5. Got this at a really good price as well. I had it in a 4. Found this one. I like the centering on this one pretty good for the price, so I had to jump on it. All right. So next up, I don't have many 50s and 60 cards and 70s really, but I did, take some shots at some Willie Mays that were pretty affordable. So right here we have the Fence Busters, Willie Mays, Willie McCovey. This is a killer combo card. Got it for a really good price. PSA 5, super cheap, especially for the legendary status of the players. Next up, 1972 Topps Willie Mays in a SGC 5. This card I actually wound up winning like 3 different grades of it in the same auction. This was the higher grade that I got of it. And also 1972, I have a 1972 Color Supreme. So 72 kind of a little special for me. All right, so right now we have 2 famous cards from an all-time great set. Now, this set is actually funny. I actually almost completed this set before, like in 2012. I had all these cards. They were super cheap, like $5, $6, $7. I had them in like low grades, and then during the pandemic or whatnot, they exploded. And right now, they're still a little pricey. But we have the Ernie Nevers. He's considered one of the greatest running backs of all time. 1955 Topps All-American. And I actually got this in the same auction. We have the Fats Henry, 1955 Topps All-American. So next up, we have a 1960 All-Star rookie of Willie McCovey in a PSA 4. I have the counterpart for this card as well. Let's see, we got 4. All right, so that's 10. So we're 40 down right now. I'm trying to get this. I want it to be under an hour. I might wind up having to split this up, but don't want to. All right, so it's a lot of cards, man. I might have to split some of these. All right, so next we have another 1964 Philadelphia. We have Willie Davis, one of the all-time great Green Bay Packer players, in a PSA 6. So once again, like I said, I don't like spending money on expensive non-rookie cards, but this is an expensive non-rookie card. We have a 1969 Topps Bob Griese second year card. I purchased that one because I also got his rookie card. It's a lower grade SGC 4. I'll probably want to upgrade this card a little bit later, but he's an all-time great. Next up, got a John Stallworth rookie card, one of the greatest wide receivers of all time. He was also with Lynn Swann, Bradshaw, the Steel Curtain Steelers. I actually have this card in a PSA 8 as well. All right, next up, we have Jim Palmer, one of the greatest pitchers of all time. He pitched well into the 80s. It was 1966 Topps. Jim Palmer got it with good centering. Paid up a little bit more than what you would normally pay for a PSA 4. Like I said, most of these cards are going to be up between 50 and $100. Now, here's another Russell Wilson Topps paper. Not going to count that one. Now, these next cards are, this one in particular means something to me. All right, it's a Zion Williamson Silver Prism rookie card. Now, Zion and I are very similar. I'm a dunker. If you guys Google dunking powerlifter or Jason Mike dunking or J Mike dunking, you'll see a 300-pound man doing 360 windmills in his 40s. So I kind of understand him a little bit. So I do collect him heavy and hope he makes a return soon. Hope he gets traded though. Now, this right here, 3 of the same card. We have the Jordan Poole PSA 10. We have 3 copies of it. This card is undervalued. It's like a $50 card. He's playing well. Has a shot at possibly moving to a better team or whatnot. So we need 2 more to make it an even 10. All right, so next up, we have an Alvin Hayes rookie card, 1969 Topps. Now, I got into these bigger cards. Alvin Hayes, all-time great player. Got this for a really good price, but it arrived to me cracked. So the seller actually took half off of the card, so I was able to get it for a good price, but it's close to a $100 card. And Elgin Baylor, one of the greatest Lakers of all time, got this card for a pretty good price too. Like I said, these high graded cards in 1969, I think, are still. So I pick up a lot of them, and you're going to see a lot of big cards coming up next. All right, so that's 50. Next up, we got the Big O, 1969 Topps in a PSA 5. Beautifully centered card. Couldn't do much better than I did with this particular card. Next up, got a Nate Thurman in a PSA 7. This is a big card, right around $100 for me anyway. But he's an all-time great, and I was able to get the card for a really good price, so I went ahead and jumped on it. Next up, another card that's right around that $100 range. Earl the Pearl Monroe, one of the coolest nicknames ever. And I was able to get his card for a really good price. And the next year, I was able to get the Big O, the Oscar Robertson All-Star in a PSA 8. This card's right around $100 too. So, if you really search, you can actually come up on some good deals sometimes. All right, so we got 1, 2. So this is 6. All right, number 7. This is by far one of the best looking cards of all time. The Willie Brown 1965 Topps Jumbo. This is a pretty famous set. The Joe Namath is in the set, but this to me is like one of the coolest cards ever made. I am always trying to upgrade this card as well. I had a bunch of these as well, but I want to get a better copy that's centered. So we got 7. All right, so we need 3 more. All right. Next up, for the last 3 of this is 57 or 58, 58, yeah, 58. All right, we got Albert Pujols, 2001 traded rookie card and a PSA 8. Got it for a good price. Went ahead and did it. Next up, RIP to the legend OJ. Like him or love him, whatever. I started collecting his entire run right before he died, so I purchased up quite a few of his rookie cards. This one's a sharp card. It's just off centered, but it's a pretty sharp card. Next up, we have another football legend, Ray Nitschke. Considered to be one of the greatest linebackers of all time. Green Bay Packer, huge fan base. Um, I purchase these cards whenever they pop up. I buy them. All time legend, and he was a nasty, nasty dude. Check him out. All right, so that is 60 in the books. We have 40 remaining. Whew. Oh, like I said, we have another. This is a PSA 4 in the Ray Nitschke. All right, another Hall of Famer, John H. Johnson, 1955 Bowman. This is just a beautiful card. It's one of the best looking cards of all time as well. He was a great Hall of Famer, uh, great running back. Um, I saw this card and I was like, I have to find out who this dude is, and he was the real deal. But one of those cards I had to pick up. All right, next up, another 1986 Fleer card, PSA 8, Clyde Drexler. Like I said, this is right around $100, but super cool card, great all time player. And I do think it's kind of funny he's gotten kicked out the conversation of the top 5 shooting guards of all time. He was always number 2 after Jordan, at worst 3. But now people are not even mentioning him in the top 10, which I think is criminal. All right, next up, another huge card for me anyway. 1972, Artis Gilmore, one of the greatest big men of all time, was able to get this super sharp copy in a PSA 7 for right around $100. But like, you get these all-time great guys, and you can get them in the collector's grade, they say. I pick them up every time. Next up, my childhood, one of my heroes, Jerry Rice rookie card, which is criminally underrated. This card is super duper sharp. It's just off centered a little bit, but I keep buying these Jerry Rices whenever they come up. But greatest, probably he's better at his position than any other player in the distance between the next greatest person in any sport. All time great. All right, next up, we're gonna go 1986 Fleer, Hakeem Olajuwon rookie card in a SGC 6.5. Now, this is actually interesting, is that before the boom, I had all of these cards in a PSA 9 and 8s, and I remember cracking a 7 to sell it raw because it was worth more raw than it was in the 7. And now this card is almost $100 card. I made a mistake selling those. All right, next up, we got John Elway, PSA 8. Came up on this not so long ago. I started trying to upgrade a lot of my cards in my collection. I wanted to get the best examples of these cards. This one came up. It's not as centered. Well, it has like a little off cut to it a little bit, but it's a PSA 8. Got it not so long ago. Pretty happy with the purchase. Next up, we got Ricky Henderson in a 6.5 SGC rookie card. Now, these have exploded recently because he passed away like a week or so ago. His cards was like 60, $70. Now they're closer to $100. All right, next up, Dick Night Train Lane, one of the greatest defensive ends of all time, or cornerbacks. He was a defensive back. He has like like a crazy amount of interceptions or something like that. Crazy. It's like 60 or 70 interceptions all time or something like that. But I buy his cars a lot as well. If this is one for auction, I always try to get them. But there are a lot of other people who have to go after this card. This is a beautiful card from a beautiful set. Next up, we got Joe Morgan rookie card, 1965 Topps. Super good looking card. I actually picked up his second year card as well in a 7.5. I don't believe it. I put it in this countdown. All right, so we got. So we need one more. All right, so let's go here. All right, so we have a Cal Ripken 1982 Topps rookie card and a PSA 9. This is actually I actually paid like over $100 for this card. I thought it was a good price. It looks really really nice for a Cal Ripken, but when you think about it, the traded card is the one you want. I haven't purchased that one yet. I actually wound up, excuse me, I actually wound up buying like 6 of these in different grades over the year, but this is the one I used to represent. All right, so that is 70. So we have 30 more. So we have the top 30 cards left. All right, let's go ahead and get this one out the way. Now, this is a huge card. I don't know if I can get the whole card on here, but this is the Wes Unseld ruler in a PSA 2.5. Getting these in high grades are pretty hard and pretty expensive, but I actually got that for a really good price. All right, so let's go. So we're gonna these here are gonna be this is gonna be some of the better cards I have. All right. All right, let's get it. All right, we have the second rookie card, or the real rookie card. We have the Willie McCovey 1960 All Star Rookie in a PSA 5. Um, I believe all of these are going to be over $100. All right. Cool card. One of the greatest Giants of all time. One of the greatest black baseball players of all time as well. Next up, another fallen soldier this year, Bill Walton. Topps 1974 rookie card in a PSA 6. I think I purchased 5 of these cards this year as well. Next up, Steve Carlton, another one of the greatest pitchers of all time, especially of the last 100 years for sure. Very underrated card. Got this in a PSA 4 1965 Topps rookie card. Next up, 1968 Topps Johnny Bench rookie card in a SGC 5. This is just a card that you have to have if you're building the ultimate collection. I had to have it. Next up, 1960 Topps Star rookie Carl Yastrzemski. Don't have many Carl Yastrzemskis in my collection. I do have to get the 61, I believe, Fleer, but had to get this card. I had it raw, just can't find it, and it's probably in better condition than this one. Next up, 1957 Topps Bill Sherman rookie card. One of those great Celtics from the 11 championships. I'm not sure how many championships he was a part of, but he was a part of that crazy Celtics team and run. PSA 4. It's like over $100. All these are over $100. All right, now this one right here is a tricky card, right? We got Gene Shu, and it was listed as a PSA 9. I didn't see the qualifier, right? But Gene Shu is credited for being the person who created the spin move. I just thought that was dope and thought that I should get it in my collection, and it was over $100. But I thought it was a regular 9, not a off-center copy. Pay attention when you're looking at these auctions. Next up, Golden Boy, Paul Hornung. Um, I was a huge Notre Dame fan growing up as a kid, so I was very aware of the Four Horsemen. I always wanted this card and had a chance to get it this year, and I got it for a really good price, and I had to get it. Next up, one of the greatest living baseball players of all time, Mike Schmidt, probably the greatest third baseman of all time. Got this for a really good price. For where my budget is, this was the right card. I may try to upgrade this to a 7 or something like that a little bit later. Let's see where we at. So we need one more for 10. Bam. We got Bobby Lane, 1948 Leaf rookie card. These cards are really, really expensive. For where I wanted to spend, I didn't want to spend over $200. This fell right in line with where I was comfortable spending for this particular player. The blonde bomber, beautiful card, great to have in my collection. If I'm not mistaken, we're at the last 20 cards of this demonstration. Next up, Sam Jones. Now, this is a print line. It's not a cut. I thought it was like a cut or something in the card, but it's not. It's like a print line. PSA 4, 1961 Fleer. Another one of those great Celtics, part of those championship winning teams. Next up, 1948 Leaf, Sammy Baugh. This is a super expensive card as well. And to get this card for what I paid for it, I'm taking it. But I also had to pair it with his 1948 Bowman in an SGC 2.5. Got this for a really good price. I didn't realize it had staining on the card. If I would have paid closer attention, I probably wouldn't have bought this copy, but it's a good pickup. All right, next up, one of the most important players. He was the first African American to play in the AL. He will be my next player run. Like I went after Monte Irvin, I will be going after Larry Doby, 1951 Bowman. Super great card, super cool card. Picked this up recently. Like I said, right around $100. All right. Emlyn Tennell. He's the first African American Giant to ever play for the team. He's also the first African American inducted into the NFL Hall of Fame. So I had to get it. This card is a super expensive card. I've had this card in a 3 and it was over $100. I have a raw copy. 2s of this card are pretty expensive. To pick this card up at a 6.5, I think I paid a little over $100 for this card. I would not sell this card for under $300. Next up, 1950 Bowman, Tony Canadu. Probably pronouncing his name wrong. This is a PSA 4. This is also a super expensive card. Trying to get the card, I didn't know a lot about him, but I just saw the prices of it. And based on what I got the card for, it was just worth it. But not a card I would have aggressively gone after under normal circumstances. So where we at? Let's give you 4 more. All right, next up. I picked this up at a card show, the card show where the guy bought all those tag cards and got destroyed on. But this Thurman Thomas in a tag 10 is a pretty sharp card, which is funny. I think that the Barry Sanders in an 8 looks a little bit better than this card. But this card is worth a little over $100, I believe, anyway. All right, next up. Another one of the greatest running backs of all time, Lenny Moore, SGC 5.5, 56 tops. This is also another card that can get a little expensive depending on, when you start looking at over fives, they get expensive. But it's a beautiful card as well. Love the registration, love the look of the card. Next up, now you saw I had the Fran Tarkenton second year card. Here's the rookie card. Very good looking card. It's a pretty dark card, with the black borders and everything. I think this one presents really well. I'm glad to have this in my collection. Now, one of the bigger cards I purchased this year, you're gonna see it a little bit later, but this is the Paul Warfield in a 3, which can be a little expensive, be close to $100 card in itself. But I had a chance to upgrade this card, and that I truly did. All right. Now, I don't really know where I'm at in terms of number right now. Let's see. Actually, so we might be right on line. Next up, this is one of my bigger purchases. This is actually the second one. I have two of these. Gale Sayers 1966 Philadelphia rookie card. Originally, when I started getting these older cards, I was originally looking at just upgrading, and I really wanted this card. But at the time, I didn't want to spend as much money as it was going to cost to get it. I'm glad I did. But I went from a 3 to a 4 in the SGC. Next up, Lou Brock rookie card, 1962 tops. He was basically Ricky Henderson's. Ricky Henderson had to break his stolen base record. Super good player. I knew him mostly as a Cardinal. Next up, one of the greatest quarterbacks, Air Coryell, Triggerman, 1975 tops. Dan Fouts. We have it in a PSA 8. I have a couple of these in a PSA 6. Okay, so we're getting down there. All right, so we have, next up, we have the Reggie Jackson rookie card, 1969 tops. Now, what made this special is that I actually had a chance and opportunity to sit down and talk with Reggie Jackson. He came to my gym here in Texas, or in Houston anyway. He was a special advisor for the Astros. The guy who owns my gym, he works for the Astros as well. So Reggie came as a guest, and we started chopping up about his collection. He has a multi-million dollar sports memorabilia collection, Babe Ruth game used bats, autographs, things of that nature. And we talked about his cards and stuff, and it was really, really cool having the opportunity this year to do that with Reggie. Next up, Steve Van Buren, one of those original legends. Got a chance to get this card in a really nice grade, year matching, or actually above player grade, in a SGC 5. Super nice. I had this in the 3 as well. Here you go. SGC. I mean a PSA 3. Next up, now these are going to round out. These are my bangers. These are the biggest cards that I have. These are the last 7 cards that were purchased this year. First off, we have a 1948 Bob Feller Bowman 3.5 SGC. They say this is rookie card. I'm gonna call this rookie card. I know he has the scribbles and all that stuff, but a lot of people call this rookie card. I'm gonna call it a rookie card as well. Bob Feller, one of the greatest pitchers of all time. Now, you can't have that card without having this card. You have the Warren Spahn 1948 Bowman rookie card. Really nicely centered. You had to pay up a little bit for it, but this was an awesome card. I had to have it. All right, so this was a recent pickup. One of the greatest big men of all time. 1975 Moses Malone in a PSA 8. This is a beautiful card. Nice registration. I actually had an opportunity to have a drink with him like 10, 15 years. It was probably about 10 years ago. It's probably about 2010. He pulled up to the club in a baby blue Bentley convertible. Never forget that. RIP to the legend. All right, so we have the last four cards of this, and let's get it. We got the Frank Robinson 1956 top, 1957 tops rookie card, SGC 4. I think it's a very nice copy of it. A little bit off center, top to bottom, but I love the look of the card. It's registered perfect for me. And one of the probably the first card where I started pushing how much I would spend a little bit this year on cards. And normally, I've had cards, I've sold cards for thousands of dollars as well, but I just never spent a lot of money for the cards I had. So that's kind of the difference with how I collect it. All right. Next card was a Grail card, a Super Grail card that which kicked off the spending this year. Walter Payton, 1976 rookie card in a PSA 4. This is a Lighthouse PSA 4. They said during this time they actually graded a lot harder. It's a super sharp card. Glad to have it in my collection. At the time, I thought I overpaid for it, which I may have, but I'm happy with the purchase. I like the center. It's a little off top to bottom, though. All right. Now, I'm going to put this card down as number 99 or number 2 in my collection, but it probably isn't. This is the 1970 Topps Pete Maravich, Pistol Pete Maravich rookie card, PSA 3.5, off center slightly, left to right. But I just wanted to get this in my collection, and these cards started getting really expensive. And before it got just too crazy and out of bounds, I just picked one up. All right. So now we're about to go. All right. So now we're getting down to the number one card that I picked up this year. Is a card that I didn't think I would ever get or get this particular year. I had to compromise on the condition of the card, the centering of the card, but I was able to get one and get in my collection before the year was out. And drum roll, please. We got the 1959 Topps Bob Gibson rookie card in a 2.5. The card is extremely off centered, but I had to get in the game with the card. It was the only way I was going to get it. Uh, that's not the card. It's not in the card there. That's just the sleeve it's in. Um, One of the greatest pitchers of all time. He forced them to change the mound because of how dominant he was. And like I said, if you're a great all-time African American baseball player, I will be collecting you. But overall, this was a great exercise, and show you guys how I collect. Like I wanted this video to be right under an hour, which it turned out to be. But this is just more of an everyday man's collection. This isn't, I'm not no multi-millionaire or anything like that. But if you're somebody who's watching these videos of these other guys' collection, don't try to run that race with the Joneses. Get what you can get. Some of the things I've learned is that I get caught up in auctions sometimes, and I might wind up spending $600 on 40 cards because I wind up winning all these auctions. And next thing you know, I'm like, damn, I could have bought a really big card. I could have bought a Dick Buckus rookie, or I could have got a really nice Ichiro rookie or something like that instead of spending that on so many smaller end cards. And that's something I'll make a better do a better job of in the coming year. This coming year, I'm going to actually make a list of the cards that I actually want, so I don't just find myself, willy nilly picking up a bunch of random cards. I have hundreds and hundreds of cards that are that were purchased this year that I didn't absolutely have to have. Respect your dollar. Yeah, and I just wanted to show you guys just a regular person's collection. My cars, you know, were down in the 50s. I think I might have shown a car that was $40 this year, but uh, I do have bigger cars. Some of my bigger cars aren't graded, but this was my pickups for this particular year. Next year will be executed much better, and hopefully, I'm able to put out more card content. But also, I'm a professional power lifter. I'm one of the greatest bench pressers of all time. I have my own wrist wraps. I have a clothing company at athletikovereverything.com. If you guys are interested in picking up some wrist wraps, you know, you can get my signature edition wraps. I have my own trading card. I was featured in a powerlifting set where I am a rookie card in the set. You can pick it up on the website. My autograph rookie is $15. The regular one is $7. If you guys are interested, just hit me up. If you buy any of the merchandise, the Athletic Over Everything, apparel, clothing, anything like that, mention that you saw this video. I might throw something free in the order. But until next time, Athletic Over Everything. Later.